to our NCEES home-based meetups this partly cloudy Monday. So thank you all for getting up early and joining us on a Monday. I'm going to turn it over to my home-based manager, Matthew Mayo.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. We appreciate you being here this morning for our brand new year of home-based meetups. Just a couple of reminders here, just some housekeeping. Just don't forget about your microphone, your camera, and also the chat feature in the bottom right-hand corner. If you have any questions throughout today, please put your questions in there and we will answer them together. You also have an option to do private questions if you want to as well. And we do appreciate you being here today as we continue our home-based meetups. Just to give you a couple of overviews here this morning for our home-based meetups. Just a reminder, we're just here to foster those positive, productive, field-based relationships with you all. Continue that communication piece with our different products. That's why we have the different home-based meetups this week. And I can't tell you enough, we really want to hear your feedback. So I know we do the feedback form at the end of every home-based meetup, but we have little participation. So we are asking for you to please give us some feedback. We want these meetings to be as helpful as possible to you all. So if there's things that we need to make changes on, please let us hear from you. And one thing we did get a lot of feedback on last year, the feedback that we did get was lack of collaboration time because of being virtual. And so we hear you on that, and we're super excited to get back to some face-to-face home-based meetings this year. Also, just looking at our home-based vision, will be the definitive, seamless go-to digital resources for North Carolina. That continues to be our vision. I'm very thankful for our advisory board. We're looking at that vision too to continue to look at that. And hopefully we'll be sharing out a new strategic plan for you all as well for our home base in the coming years. So we're excited about that work coming up. Also on slide 6, you'll see the different presentations that are going on this week. We have the luxury of having Cammie with us today to talk about NCEES. So you can see the QR code there. Also the bit.ly today for her presentation on NCEES and NCEES updates here today. Just a reminder for the week, we've got a full week of home-based meetups scheduled out, so you can register for all of these. Today is NCEES. Tomorrow will be SchoolNet. PowerSchool on Wednesday. Learning.com and Canvas will be on Thursday. We made some changes to that, knowing that most of the PSUs are not open on Friday. And so we do have those registrations still up. So it's not too late for anyone to go ahead and come on board and sign up and be a part of our home base meetups this week. Just a couple updates before I turn it over to Cammie. First of all, we would like to welcome Miss Rebecca Stokes to the home base team. If you haven't had a chance to meet her through NC Bold over the last 2 weeks, she's our new professional development specialist. She's been working extensively with SchoolNet, and she'll be working with PowerSchool as well. So we welcome Rebecca to the home base team. Other updates, recent victories that we had. Cammie can celebrate a very, very smooth NCEES end-of-year rollout. She's got her hands up there, so we're extremely happy with that process and how things worked out in the end. We also had our QA complete on NCEES PD only, the Access EC pilot, and that will be moving into production this year, so we're excited about that. Coming off the heels of a smooth NCEES EOI, we felt like we had a really successful PowerSchool end of year process, but we want your feedback. And so in that, on this slide number 10, we have a Jamboard there. If you would, someone from the team will put the link in the chat for you. And if you would give us your feedback, things that went well, things that maybe we can change for next year. Again, we're all about continuous improvement. And so if you have an opportunity today, we would love for your feedback from that as well. Again, thank you to Justin and his team and all of you all working at the PSU levels to making EOI a smooth process. We had a very, very successful Friday morning that morning, so we're very thankful for all the work that you did getting that moved forward. If you haven't heard the good news by now, hopefully you've heard this. All of our tech directors and tech staff have access to a COSIN membership. part of our digital learning initiative. And all of our certified staff members will have ISTE memberships coming to them very shortly. So we're extremely excited about both of these partnerships as we continue to grow our very own here in the great state of North Carolina. So both of these are great privileges that we have, and we're extremely excited about the work that's going to be done through these partnerships. Other just items for information, our home-based product timelines here, you can kind of get a glimpse of where we are with our contracts. There is an upcoming CIS RFP coming up this year, and then you can see where Canvas and SchoolNet and other resources are lining up here as far as our contracts. One of the last things I want to talk to you this morning about as far as updates is we're extremely happy to be looking at Go Open 2.0 coming soon. We know we've got lots of opportunities here with Go Open, working with Corey and Ashley McBride, our digital learning consultant. We're working with her as well to develop this new Go Open. So if you would like to be a part of this team that kind of looks through and gives us some feedback and kind of helps us roll this 2.0 out, we'd love to have you a part of this. We've heard so many things through the last 2 weeks at NC Bold and talking to teachers and administrators. But again, we need more feedback too as we develop this together. So we're extremely excited about this work that Dr. McNeil will be leading. Just a reminder for our home-based meetups, we have them, everything is laid out here in the schedule, and we are super excited about September and May. We will be face-to-face. And so we have a couple of hosting sites that are still needed. So if you're interested in hosting, if you would please email Yolanda, we'd appreciate that as well. We've got some remaining dates needed. September 26th. We're needed in the Northeast or Southeast region. May 3rd in the North Central or Sandhills region, and May 4th, the Northeast or the Southeast region. So if you can help us out with hosting that, that would be great. Basically, we're looking for a large room and some breakout rooms. We're kind of going back to old school here when we used to do home-based meetups in the PSUs. And we're just excited about making these back face-to-face and allowing more collaboration time. So we know that there's strength in when we gather together to be able to talk and share ideas and best practices. Just a reminder, if you're not following us, we've got plenty of avenues for you to follow us on multiple avenues of social media. So be sure to check out our social media channels as well. And last but not least, here is your home-based team for the 2022-23 school year. And so all of their email addresses are linked in here. And on the right-hand corner, you see a nice little bit.ly up there, a nice QR code. We need your feedback. Remember, I told you about your feedback. We want to hear from you. So please give us feedback from today as we wrap this home-based meetup today about NCEES. So again, thank you for being here today. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the awesome Cammie to lead. Thank you so much, Cammie.
Thank you, Matthew. Did anyone have any questions for Matthew before we jump into NCEES? All right. Just a second. All right, I put the links to the slides in the chat for this morning. So if y'all will click on that link, it's the HBMU 22 July NCEES link. All right, and so we're just going to recap 21-22 with the archival process, talk about a few updates. We didn't have a lot of updates in the plans. Have some networking time. We did have some questions in your registration form that I'd like for you guys to help answer. And then we'll do a little NCEES refresher because the majority of my tickets are how staff get in and out of NCEES. So just to recap, the numbers on the left are this year's numbers for the number of plans archived, how many were completed, and how many were incomplete. So if you look in the yellow box, that was last year. So compared to last year, some of the numbers are a little lower, but it's hanging kind of steady. We did not really have a great increase. Just wanted to give you some reminders about Premium Library if you guys want to use that and have monies for that. It went live on May 14, 2021. There's the one pager. To view courses, you must have system rights as a district administrator. And to view and purchase those PD courses, you need to be both a district administrator and a PD office administrator. We recently met with Educational Impact, so I hope to have another webinar going out soon about some offerings that they're having. Just want to remind you that you do have your peers, Brian Probst from Buncombe County and Sally Reynolds from Wake County, that have created this NCEES email Google group. This is your networking forum. DPI only jumps in as needed. You guys are great about answering each other's questions. Just remember that this email group, when you answer a question, you should use reply all so others know that you're answering. All right, we always like to do a little Padlet activity. So let me copy this, and you guys tell me about your, I know it's been kind of a bumpy half a year this year to end it up. So I'd like to hear your good news to share, your successes, your challenges from this last time we met until now as we get started for the new year. And then we'll take back any DPI action items that we need to do. Let me put that in the chat. There's also a QR code there if you're on your phone or other device that can scan the QR code. All right, and if you've not been in the Padlet before, you just click the plus sign to add a note. You can put in your subject and then you can write something. You can also change the color of your note and things like that. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to do that. And then we'll see what we have to share. Thanks. Hey, and if you're brand new with us today, do you mind putting under the good news to share who you are and where you're from? Thank you. Awesome. Seeing some good notes go in. If you like somebody's note, you can heart it or add comments to it. I saw a question for a link to the Padlet. I did put that back in the chat. Okay, I see some more folks are joining, so we're going to take maybe one more minute, and then we'll start reading out some of these. And you are welcome. Please do unmute and comment as we go. Okay, you guys can keep typing. I'm going to get started with the good news to share. So welcome. Is it Bianca Lewis? Can you unmute Bianca? And welcome to NCEES.
Yes, ma'am. It is Bianca Lewis.
Nice to meet you. And we'll
Yes,
get
ma'am.
out there
Nice
in
to meet
September,
you as
hopefully,
well.
and see you face to face. All right. And we have also new joining us, somebody in Moore County. Do you mind unmuting and letting us know your name?
Yes, hi, I'm Cassie Strong in Moore County.
Hi, Cassie. All right. And we have a new ITF for, what's H? Is that it?
Hereford County.
Thank you, Hereford County. And you're Jasmine Ryan. Welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And Miss Natalie Brosey, you're in Brunswick County. First time opening. Good morning, Natalie. All right, and then we have one more brand new down here. I think that's Miss Laura Elliott. You want to say hi?
Hi, I will probably be reaching out to you guys for a lot of information.
Yeah, Laura and I have been going back and forth, and we do have some slides today, Laura, to maybe have some discussion time on deciding those plan types.
Thank you.
Right. And then somebody's excited to start off a new school year with a new superintendent. Which district is that?
Elizabeth City, Paxton.
All right, cool. A lot of changes going on. Thank you guys for joining us today. All right, let me scroll back up, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, we do have Tara Patterson, new HR director with Onslow County Schools, starting another wonderful year in a wonderful district. Welcome, Tara. All right, so for successes, good news in Charlotte Meck, they had observation completion rate of 99% for all instructional staff. That is awesome. Good job. And let's see, PAINT Fall 2022, the Assistant Superintendent of HR and myself will be presenting about effective feedback in NCEES at the PAINT Fall 2022 conference in Nashville. Who's that? You mind letting us know? Who's presenting that? Is that Angela? All right. Well, we hope y'all can be there at Asheville at the PAINT Fall 2022.
It's not Angela. It's not Angela.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we did one. So.
Mhm.
I knew this was the other way.
This is Wendy. I know, looking at the agenda, Brian Probst from Buncombe presenting.
It might be Brian. Yeah.
Katie Fink.
Katie. Hey, Katie. All right. Yep. We are at DPI going out face to face as well. So if you ever need us there as well, just send us an invite and let us know. And Katie, I think I'm coming to your district this week. Office hours, Kami's office hours, I offer those all the time. There is a slide in the deck today, and it's also in my signature. I am perfectly open to meeting with you all when you can meet. If the calendar times that in my link don't work, just email me back and we will find a time to do those office hours. So I'm glad that was helpful. Smoothest EOY ever for syncing the plans. Thank you. Yes. Training all administrators was a success. Our district has a new senior leadership and there's increased focus on NCEES and providing effective feedback through the observation cycle. We have created a new evaluation calendar to help ensure administrators are getting observation completed in a timely manner. That sounds like an awesome plan. I know you're excited to have that going in place. And excuse my voice, I've been sick all weekend, so it's probably going to sound a little froggy. All right, I always get a quick response to questions and tickets. Yes, we try to get you fast responses because I know you need them. All right, challenges. NCEES modules currently not available in PD. That might be Angela. Is that our beginning teacher ones? Does anybody else have that concern? We're working on some that need to be rebuilt in Canvas, so we're seeing if we can leave the Moodle ones open. And I am meeting with Jennifer Bass today. You know, Robert Sox retired. Jennifer Bass replaced Dr. Kim Simmons last year, and we will be meeting to look at those PD modules and also talk about the webinars upcoming for the school year.
Yeah, Kimmy, we've got a school that's coming in this week, so that's why I'm trying to get a game plan.
Yeah, we are meeting today, so I'll get an answer to you today, Angela.
Thank you, dear.
All right. Figuring out what needs to be done today, tomorrow, and next week, but I found the NCEES group, and Cammie is very helpful. Yes, so yes, reach out to all of us. We will get you hopefully what you need very quickly. All right. Platform RFP timeline. What is the timeline for possible system changes, and how does it connect to modernization? That one I may need to take back. I am attending the modernization meetings so that we can make sure that the NCEES connection is there and correctly there. I've not had a timeline for modernization other than the last time Barry Pace had a meeting. It was still going to be a good couple of years. They are working with a couple districts right now to make sure everything is clean before it all gets rolled out to everybody. So if you have any more specific questions about that or who we need to contact to get this answer to, please email me that or add it to this note. Unless you want to unmute and let us know something else.
Hey, Cammie, that's me. It's Eleanor in CMS.
Hey.
As one of the districts that's been working on modernization for a couple of years now, it's and as the functional contact for performance management and NCEES. Of course, that's top of mind for our team, and we just want to make sure that we're plugged in as quickly as possible as those discussions happen at the DPI level. We know it's going to be probably a couple years before there's a change.
Yes.
But as you know, a lot of times there isn't an understanding of the lead time that's necessary to make that change.
Right.
So if we're going to change performance management, it's got to happen more in the like in the summer time frame for next year, or at the very latest in the winter for the upcoming year. So however we can support you in those discussions, that would be great.
Okay, thank you, Eleanor, and anybody else that wants to chime in on that discussion, we'll be happy to have your input. And finally, it says communication and support. The NCEES webinars are extremely beneficial for me as the NCEES expert in my district. Please continue to offer these and the weekly communication on a regular basis. After I meet with Jennifer today, I hope to get a beginning list out of the webinars we are going to be offering. So we do have some folks in new positions. So we are maybe a week or two behind on announcing when our summer webinars are going to be. But hopefully I'll have those out in a week or two. So thank you for letting us know that those are beneficial. All right, did I miss anyone? All right, thank you guys. We're going to go back to the slides. So what's new in 2022, 2023? We have a new NCEES resource site. The other one I checked the other day and it was still up, but it will go away, the Google site. Those all had to go away. So we do have this built out as a public site in our DPI Blue Canvas, and it's BIT NCEES Resources. I'll put that link in the chat. If you want to check that out, Corey on our team with Canvas did an awesome job working with myself and Jennifer and getting this set up for us. And Jennifer and I will keep this updated for you. The new ECPD, this is PD only access pilot. These are the budget codes on the left over here, left side over here, the 132s. We redefined some roles. We currently have 132s coming into NCEES. They were just kind of there when the system was rolled out. They don't do their evaluations in NCEES, but they come in as audiologists overall. So we're defining the PD only access folks in that group. And that's going to be instructional support to pre-K, instructional support to speech language pathologists, and then instructional support to audiologists, those 3 roles. This was supposed to go in this weekend, but I do not see it in there. So I am checking after we get off our call today to see where the disconnect is, or to see if it even made it into the person import file this weekend. SAS was going to try to update that Friday. So I just need to check with SAS first and then check with PowerSchool. And we will look at this in just a minute. And then the 144s, we added 3 of those. And that's interpreter special pops, interpreter pre-K, interpreter audiologist. And 2 145s with and you notice they all have purpose codes with them to define the role. And that's therapist special pops and therapist pre-K. The coding on here is how the person import file looks. Anybody with a 10 comes into NCEES as a user. And then if you go to system administration, staff dashboards, and browse staff by demographics, you can expand the support now. Support did not used to be here. Everybody came in as administrative and instructional. Instructional included counselors, ITFs, everybody like that. There were probably about 15 to 20 people that people had changed to support. So I hope I found everybody and changed you back to whichever you were supposed to be, instructional or administrative. That is because these folks under support will only see the tabs that you see at the bottom of the screen: the home, the help guides, professional development, my courses, transfer credit manager, the mobile app for PD attendance, and NCEES history will house any past evaluations that they've had in NCEES. These folks will not be targeted to plans. So even if you accidentally assign them a plan on the roster, they will not see it as a current plan. Any questions about that? So during the networking time, if you want to, we'll go take a look at that. So updates in the 2022-2023 plans. We did do just some generic updates to further define the activities as to who does what. So this is in the help guides, but we also added it to the activity titles. So like when does the evaluator / observer do a step? When does the teacher / staff do a step? So that's in all the observations, the peer observations, and the additional observations have these updates. We've also updated in the orientation container. Everybody had a link to the evaluation rubrics. This is now going to the NCEES resources site, so they can go in the manuals and see their rubrics and have the resources to the rubrics. Last year we had an issue where somebody thought they had to delete a document override signature, and this is where the teacher refuses to sign. So a district administrator, evaluator, or an observer as designated by the district can override that signature so that the plan can move forward and so they can get to the evaluation at the end of the year. All the observations have this override activity. And when that activity was deleted, there were other forms in the activities that used the same form. So then all the data was deleted in the other forms. So last year we put a warning: if you delete, you're going to remove all the data in these forms that you see on the left. This is now fixed. The fix was to remove this delete button. Should this data need to be deleted for any reason, I can open a PowerSchool ticket and have them delete the information. But if you ever start one of those overrides and then realize you don't need it, just leave it. It's not going to hurt anything. So some other fixes that happened for 2022-23 plans. We fixed where the evaluator was able to see acknowledge in those pre-observation conference teacher acknowledgement activities. This has been corrected so that only the teacher staff is able to acknowledge this activity. This does not have an override on it. So the teacher needs to sign the pre-observation conference acknowledgement. And then when we were trying to upload files that were too large, the timeout would happen and you really couldn't get out of the activity unless you just closed the whole window out. So when I tested it recently, it actually let me upload a larger than 20 megabyte file. So maybe they've changed the amount, but I have not fully confirmed that with PowerSchool, but files are now attaching. In the standard evaluations, the teacher or staff could delete the acknowledgement note that tells you why you're signing off or acknowledging an observation conference. So that note is informational only. PowerSchool did remove the delete button that was there. And then on the staff evaluations dashboard for this coming year, the observation 3 was showing not applicable. So this was corrected to show the observation 3 progress icon would show for all plan types except abbreviated plans. All right, any questions? Yes, Eleanor, I see there was a PowerSchool update over the weekend. I have not had a chance to really dig into that to see what all was updated or just make sure everything's working, but I will check on that. So for the roadmap, somebody was asking about updating, I think that was Eleanor, where we're moving and updating NCEES. It is on hold. We have been working with PowerSchool in the new OBS 3 and Force 2.0 has a lot of answers for us. And this past week, and this needs more meetings between DPI and PowerSchool, they told us that they don't think that work can move forward, that we need a different platform for them to move us forward on. So bear with me and we will find out some more information about that to get back to our advisory board and members and to see where we need to move forward next. But yes, Matthew, I noticed NCEES wasn't on that update list. We are kind of under PowerSchool. They're going to RFP. We are an amendment under that contract. So I know we have some renewal years that are coming up. So it will probably be a couple of years before NCEES goes to RFP. I don't know if Matthew has any comments about that. The other thing that was talked about was a way for when staff move districts that their plans not be viewable to the next district. There is a fix that can be put in place. However, there's not a good fix for if something goes wrong and a lot of plans get deactivated. I'm the only one that can restore them or PowerSchool. So we're working this through and we are going to have some more discussions on maybe if we can pilot this with a district and not do the whole state at one time because that's a big risk. And the reason for this is this data comes from staff UID, which is not always very clean data. Staff active statuses overlap and their budget codes change. And what this is doing is looking at when my person import file sends a new district to the import file, then this work will see that new district and say, you're in a new district, deactivate your current plan and say your plan type back to no evaluation or the little blanks is the one that you need to set the evaluations. So do you guys have any input on that or comments? I know you guys have been really, really wanting this. So this is high priority to work on. It's just that the UID data really needs to be a lot cleaner. And maybe if we can pilot this and work that out, we'll work on that.
Cammie, what if a district has reached out to another PSU for over the last year and that employee has been with us for a year now and they're still showing up with that PSU? We're getting another employee from there currently that hasn't been removed as well. What are the resolutions when we've reached out, emailed, and they've emailed us and said we need to remove it, and from theirs, and we remove our people, you know how that's happening. And I just have a feeling with so many people moving around this year, we're going to
That's
see
one of
more and
the
more of
issues.
this.
That's one of the issues. I do not mind sending an email if you open a ticket and document who you contacted and how long you've been contacting them. I don't mind sending one email to that district saying, hey, this is affecting NCEES, because that is putting that other district's school name on your staff's plan.
Correct.
Which will cause an issue at points in time. So I do not mind sending an email to them. The support desk probably won't, but I do need a ticket and then attention Cammie.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? So our current escalated issues with PowerSchool, we had a district that reported those mass PDF export reports. Looked like they completed, said there was a certain number in there, but they were not all there. So PowerSchool is working with this district to see what happened. They think they've identified the root cause. Sorry, my dog's barking. And we will be working with that district to make sure they have all those export files. So if you guys notice any issues like that, let me know. If you did the PDF export files, it looks like it reported a certain amount of numbers, but when you count the number of folders in the report that downloads, there's not that many. So not as many as the number says there is. We are having this district rerun those to see if there are still failures in that, and then PowerSchool can compare with what they found for the root cause and see if they need to do some additional investigating. And they are going to work with us to get those PDFs that are missing. Completed Canvas courses. This was thought to be fixed recently in a few weeks. So Canvas courses were not updating as completed in NCEES, but I did see somebody at NC Bold who had a completed Canvas course that was not complete in NCEES. So I just opened a ticket this weekend. So I will follow up in the newsletters on that about the Canvas courses. Staff with a CMS connection are not authorized to view their deactivated plans. They think this is connected to some kind of ID because CMS has their own evaluation system that syncs to NCEES. We think there's an ID disconnection in there. So this has been being worked on for a couple months now, and we are still trying to move forward with that. And hopefully they can view their deactivated plans. I've not had a big outcry on this, so I guess a lot of people are not viewing their deactivated plans. Just put it out there for information. If you hire somebody from CMS, or if you are in CMS and staff say they can't view their past plans, they can run a script to connect those, but it's a one-on-one script. So we need to know who they are. This is a larger issue than a one-on-one fix. And then Transfer Credit Manager, I'm going to be working on some updates to that guide if you're using Transfer Credit Manager. There was some back and forth with PowerSchool about who can be set as an approver versus administrator, because I can set about anybody as an administrator, which is the higher level, but I can only set district administrators as approvers. So we do have a workaround for the district that reported this, and we will be working with PowerSchool to see what can be done moving forward. But I will get those updates in the guide as to who can do which role, and then what are the workarounds for being able to view staff requests that have been submitted through Transfer Credit Manager. And Lori, did you sigh in my chat? That's cute. All right, time for networking. So this is time you guys get to unmute. So topics from registration. Somebody asked about beginning of year. And so I did want to remind you that we do have in Canvas the NCEES Hub for NCEES admins. So when you go to Canvas, or if you can't get to Canvas, let me know. And we do have a way to add you to Canvas if you're not already in there. But if you're active in NCEES, you should be active in Canvas. And you would just go on the left-hand rail and click on Home-Based Resources. And then it'll have a list of all our home-based products, and you would select NCEES. And this icon can go on the dashboard for you to get to the items that are in here. I am still updating, like the middle of year and things, but getting started is mostly done. I'm going to be connecting our help guide soon. And then module 1 is the beginning of year module. So hopefully you guys are all in there. I've heard from a few districts that thought this was wonderful for the new district administrators. It's slightly different. It is different from the NCEES resources site. This is for you guys that manage NCEES. So the person with can anybody else have any beginning of year specific questions that you wanted to talk about today? All right, my wait time is kind of short, so we're going to move on. Some other topics from registration is somebody asked about the super observations for low performing schools. And I put the links here that Robert shared with me. These are in both sites. They're in the NCEES site, resources site, and in the Canvas and resource hub. So these are the links for that. If you guys want to talk about super observations, about when you do those and how you do those, they can be used for the first evaluation in NCEES. I would like to hear from anybody that is doing super observations, how you've done that with NCEES.
Hey, this is Cheryl Munn from CMS.
Hey, good morning, Cheryl.
Hey, we do use the super observation in NCEES, and it is we use it as the first observation.
Okay.
And they are evaluated on all 5 standards. And for the abbreviated, there is a fillable form that we use.
Okay. All right. And then did you upload that?
Yes, and they upload that into NCEES.
Okay. Thank you, Cheryl. That was very good information.
You're welcome.
Austin County does the same. We use it as the first observation and upload the additional standards for abbreviated.
Thank you.
This is Sampson County. So just for clarification, because I think for the first time I have to deal with this year. So you send them to the plan type they normally would have, but then you're saying, so like if they're abbreviated for the first one, you would do abbreviated as normal, but then for the additional 3, you would upload that information, the additional 3 standards?
That's correct. On either an electronic version of the rubric or paper rubric, and just upload those additional 3.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and how you know it's a super observation is in the comment section. They have to note in the first sentence, for this super observation, the employee is rated, and give them a total rating for that observation for each standard. That's how we know that is the super observation.
Good to know. All right. Any other questions about or comments about super observations? Thank you guys for chiming in. All right. Eleanor had a comment about super observation. It says for this super observation, this standard is rated as proficient. That was an example. It's in your chat. I do see a question in the chat, and Tara, I hope it's okay if I read it. Have any updates? My chat is overlapping for some reason, so it's hard to read. Have any updates been made to the courses in NCEES PD so that people, excuse me, sorry, told you that frog was going to crop up. Have any updates been made to the courses in NCEES PD so that people must complete the course before accessing and printing certificates? In the past, one could click through the courses and print certificates. The courses must be completed before they show complete in NCEES. I guess I would need further examples about what you mean, what they're clicking through. Do you mean you want the course to have more steps that aren't just clickable through? That maybe they need to take some quizzes or something in there before they move on? I'm not sure how that would happen in some of the courses.
Cameron, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So in the past, and this has been an issue for us, people could just kind of click through the course and print a certificate without completing the quizzes and things like that. It was different when we had the facilitator-led courses.
Okay.
With just the self-paced ones, they could, as long as they don't click through too fast. If they click through too fast, it'll stop them. But they can kind of click past things and not complete the activities, the journals, the quizzes.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Right.
Yeah.
So right. So I was just curious if the accountability level had changed at all there to require people to actually complete the activities before printing certificates from the courses.
So if the certificate's in Canvas, I don't really have a control over that, but the certificate would not populate in NCEES until it thought the course was complete. The other thing is when the course creators are building out the course in Canvas, they can set requirements that say you can't go on to this next area without completing the other areas. So that might be what you're talking about, the requirements within the course. So we would need examples of which course you're having trouble with or concerned about.
Yes, ma'am. I mean,
we can follow up with the course creator.
Sorry, I guess that's what I was talking about, is more the courses that are accessible through NCEES that are created else. I wasn't sure if there was any control over that at all, because I know a lot of them are completed there at NCDPI. So that was just my question, if it was, if there was any accountability with those yet.
Yes, the course creators should be creating courses, to last, if it says it's a 5-hour course, it needs to be a 5-hour course. And then everybody has to do whatever activities in there. It is up to the course creator whether they set all those requirements from module to module before they can move on, or if they just want to allow the staff to go through and choose which module to do first. So we would have to take that question back to the course creator. So if you want to email me that, just let me know. We can help follow up on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome, Jerry. All right, so here's the topic for registration. How do we determine plan types? And this person had a question about plan type for alternative licensed teachers with more than 3 years of experience and any documents that would assist administrators with plan type selections for their staff. In the past, and I couldn't go back far enough, I know Sherry Thomas from Guilford did join one of our sessions and walk us through how to do HRMS. And if I can find that, I will add it to our slides. But I'm going to open this up to you guys. Maybe first talk about, if you're HRMS, what reports do you use to help determine plan types? And if you're LINK or if you're a different HR, how this happens. So we might have a bunch of discussion. So if we want to start with HRMS folks, how do you determine plan types?
In our district, we don't have one good report that will show us all of that, because the way we have it set up, it depends on their hire date, and they have to work 3 years within Johnston County before we'll move them to abbreviated. So we really have to do this, just almost manually. So the principals have charts and they have to go through like little investigators or call us to see, what was their start date with our district, and obviously their licensure information, so they can find the parts and pieces in HRMS or LINK, but ultimately they still have to sort of they have to determine the plan type. There's nothing that will say, here's all the information and this is the plan type. They have to find the pieces and then apply it to the chart that tells them which plan type to put it on, to put the person on. Does that make sense? We don't have a report that will just tell us based on our criteria which plan type to put them on.
Are you HRMS in Johnston County?
We're switching over to just Link. I mean, we're literally just now stopping HRMS. So HRMS will run a report, but it doesn't meet all of our Johnston, like the criteria that we have for having to be 3 years in Johnston County.
Okay, so each district might have their own criteria.
Like above and beyond the base criteria, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And that might be shooting ourselves in the foot, but that's the way it's set up right now.
No, that's true. You're probably looking at the ratings I got last year from NCEES.
A lot of different things. That's right. Yes. There are a lot of different parts and pieces that play into the plan type. And so we just have to look at we have to look at different information to determine the plan type. There's not one report for us.
Yeah, I thought there was a few pieces. So. So, and I know, Laura, I know you reached out on the Google group as well, and it looks like Laura is waiting on a report from Link HR to help them make their decisions about plan types. Does anybody else have any comments about how they do that?
Hey, it's Eleanor. In the Google group, there was a recent discussion where Brian had shared some query language that provided and that looked at an HRMS report, I think.
Yes.
And then I had shared some information about a spreadsheet that we've developed here at CMS that based on that kind of information that was just described. So their start date, their license renewal date, their some rating information that we do analysis kind of behind the scenes at the beginning of the year. All of that gets populated into one spreadsheet, and then there are some really wacky fun formulas that do some comparison around those data points, and then say, here's the evaluation type that we would expect to see, and then I usually bump it up against the evaluation type that's assigned so that we can identify some of those where it's a mismatch and try to catch those as early as possible so that we have fewer surprises at the end of the year.
Right. Yep. Thank you.
So if anybody wants to talk about that, I'm more than happy to share that spreadsheet or share at least the logic of it. Again, it should be available if you go to the Google group and look at that particular post.
Yeah, I did see that Brian and Eleanor both answered. I think it was Laura Elliott's post if you want to look for that. Any other comments about this? I'm sure I can say, please go post in that Google group. You can reach out and anybody, and maybe like our seasoned DAs will definitely mentor our new DAs and help them with those that have not created or decided plan types before. Like Eleanor said, just reach out and they're happy to help each other. All right, and then just real quick, we are going to probably review this in our training hour. And let's see, it's almost 11. I just wanted to remind you, this is a screenshot of Staff UID. A lot of your HR folks call it CEDARS. It is our Staff UID system. And all of these fields affect what shows in NCEES. So your hire date is going to look at that. So like this top field has a hire date, but the bottom field doesn't. The annual salary is actually the budget code. So in this top one, it has 114, which is the principal role. And then the bottom one is 121, which is the teacher role. And this is where we have to be careful, especially the NCBPS. This is only one sample, that they don't show a teacher who is a home district as their teacher. So that this budget code probably needs to come out of here on the NCBPS record, because then the principal can now see everybody in NCBPS. And then active status, definitely when you're working with your HR folks, a budget code is needed to put people into NCEES. A budget code is needed to take people out of NCEES. So when you change this active to no, the budget code needs to stay, or that person will not be removed from NCEES. And then the last update date, especially if you have folks that are working in more than one school in your district, this last update date determines which school shows as primary in NCEES. So if you updated all the schools at one time, then NCEES may pick and choose which one is primary in NCEES. So if that ever changes in NCEES, then just go update the primary location so that it has the most recent last update date. This also plays a role when people are changing districts as well. And I just left this slide in here from last summer. We don't have a good report that shows who's been assigned plans that are not started. So all of our quick reports report on active reports. That means they have to be started. So you can't run a quick report and find out like your mentors, if you've assigned them out and you're running the mentor report, but somebody hasn't started their plan, the mentor is not going to show up on that staff's plan in the quick report. So the best place to go see which plans are not started is go to staff evaluations and run the evaluation completion report, choose an evaluation plan, and then when the results in the overall status column, it will show that a plan has been assigned but not started by somebody. All right, do we have any other things you guys want to network about or ask each other about? I know we have quite a few new folks, so we were going to go through the NCEES refresher. This is from last year, and we will probably be doing a new one this summer, but the slides are right here. Let me copy that, put it in the chat. The steps are still the same about how staff get into NCEES and out of NCEES. And please do stop and ask questions as we go through this. All right, so I'm just going to go through these first few slides. My Welcome to Home Base newsletter, there's a link here, does include all like the check boxes of what is needed to get people in and out of NCEES. Of course, NCEES has component 1 for educator evaluation and component 2 for professional development. So we'll skip over that because we want to look on how staff are provisioned access to NCEES. So we do have a nightly person import file that's created every night. And we start pulling data for that from UID around 4 p.m. So you need to have your files updated before 4 p.m. if it's going to be included in that night's data updates. So we start pulling at 4 p.m. We pull from link, HRMS, and non-HRMS and licensure between 9:45 and 11. And then the person import file is created around 11. It goes to PowerSchool. And then around 4 a.m. they import it. Well, this is earlier now. I need to change this. Now it is imported around 2 a.m. That was part of the fixes they did this past half year when we were having all those issues with navigating NCEES. They had overlapping activities going on in the background. So now we import this file around 2 a.m. So I'll fix that number. But if you look on the right and look at the bottom row, this is all the source systems that populate data in NCEES. Even if you were to update some of the fields in NCEES, if it's not updated in these source systems, they will overwrite at night. So payroll has the staff UID, statuses, names, the role, which is your budget code, and the location people are at. It is exported and uploaded to staff UID for most districts. We do have a few districts that must do a manual upload to staff UID. And then from PowerSchool, that is the SIS system. That is our authority for email addresses for most staff in the system. Classified staff and other staff may not be in PowerSchool, so we get the emails from the HRMS data or the non-HRMS, like Link HR and things like that. It does look at Link first before it looks at HRMS. We get email address, the primary location, and classification codes. Classification codes are still the old codes, and we don't have really time to talk about that today unless you really want to go in depth on it. Districts are allowed to make their own teacher classification codes. So if it's not the ones from the beginning of time, this will not update correctly in NCEES, which is why staff who are standard are still showing as comprehensive in NCEES classification. So that comes from the HR files. And then, of course, we get the licensure expiration date from licensure. It fills fees to NCDPI's operational data store. And there's a calculation that happens to determine the certification year of the staff for the license cycle year. And then that all creates into the T&L NCEES person import file. The T&L, for you new folks, our system used to be called True North Logic. Our import file is still monitored with T&L, so that's why I leave that on there. There's just a bigger view of what feeds. And then I told you the roles have budget codes. So when this 111 shows up, and it doesn't need the for-purpose codes, but most districts are using for-purpose codes. But for NCEES, when it sees that 3-digit 111, it says, oh, you're a superintendent, and you're going in NCEES with the role of superintendent. And so scroll on down like that. And we do have a new, I think I made a slide for that. We do have a new version 8 for our support staff, so I will add that slide to the deck when we get done here. Some roles do have to have both the object code from the chart of accounts and the purpose code. So the teacher, leader, instructional coordinator has a 131 object code and a 5110 object code to define that role. These are last year's links, so when we do the new webinar, we'll have these updated. So here's another look at staff UID. The active or inactive statuses have the active fields. The last name, first name, and middle name also are in UID under a different tab. The budget code, three digits for the object code, 4 digits for the purpose code. And then location in the gray bars at the top. So if you're looking at the top record, 142 is currently not on our list. And so that record would not go to NCEES. 121 is on our list as a teacher classroom. And that record would go, but this record is inactive, so it goes as inactive. This record, 121, has an active yes. That would go as active to NCEES. And then finally, there's another 121 that would go active to NCEES. So this right here would cause an overlap in NCEES. And that's where one of these locations needs to update their record. Looks like this one, because this last update date was 2015. This one needs to be made active no. And what happens as long as it stays yes, if Charlotte Secondary assigns a plan to this teacher, and they will, this school name will also go on that plan. So then later on, if we need to pull a plan for you guys for any reason, we cannot do it because it has 2 school names on it. And we'd really have to determine which school actually owns that record. There's just a couple other looks at staff UID. The last update date determines which location is primary. We looked at this one earlier. This is a statement from staff UID, and I did verify with them that it is still in force for this year. Many school systems have a date when they make their next year staff active. For many school systems, it's the first day the staff is employed. But some folks want their beginning teachers to take PD over the system summer in NCEES, and this statement says you can do that, but it's up to your district to make that decision. So as a reminder, there should be a timely and accurate exchange of data between the PSU payroll system and UID system. This includes any new staff members who need access to our source systems or to our systems, PowerSchool, SchoolNet, NCEES. Additionally, any new staff that have been hired but are not yet receiving a paycheck can be added to the payroll system, subsequently included in staff UID to receive their UID. And then if you want to make them active. Again, DPI is not saying you must make them active. This is a district decision on when to activate their staff. Any questions about that? I do see a question. Sorry, my chat is overlapping really bad. If a teacher's licensure cycle is incorrect in NCEES, can that be fixed? If so, how does it need to be fixed? So, Katie, I just need a ticket for that. It should be correct depending on what's being pulled. If a teacher has more than one license, we may be pulling one that's applying that incorrectly. A few years ago, we did have an issue with how it was calculating, but that should be fixed now. So I just need a ticket so I can look at it and see if that's a fix we need to do, or if it's a fix or an update that needs to happen to the teacher's licensure. HR data comes into NCEES from Link HR first, then HRMS, and then any other HR systems. The source for emails is PowerSchool SIS and then HR's. Primary locations and classification codes all come in through the HR data. So just like you would update the staff data that goes to UID, your district should be keeping your HR data updated as well. HRMS and Link HR should know to do this, but if you have an issue with any of these fields, check with them first because they are the source system. Charters that don't use, or other schools that don't use HRMS or Link HR, you will manually be uploading your data for HR. That is with this document. So these are the fields that are needed to upload staff HR data if you're not using HRMS or Link HR. So here's the classification codes. I wonder if I have the classification codes, CLC, CLB, CLP, determines career status, beginning teacher, probationary teacher, and such as that. As we move forward with modernization, I'm sure we'll be updating these at some point, but currently we're going with NCEES as it is designed, and these are the codes that are being used. It calculates these where it sees career status. It will assign CLCs, and those are the standard plans. If it sees probationary, those are going to be any of those 4 codes there. Those are going to be your comprehensive classification types. When you are looking at staff demographics in their profile, it's going to list it alphabetically. And we've asked PowerSchool not to list it alphabetically, but to put like fields together. Or try to color code this to show you kind of what should be going together. So certification year actually goes down here with licensure cycle year 1. This classification comprehensive goes with, I believe, instructional. And then it will also do what evaluation type is listed, so comprehensive. So this is where, if this was standard and it said comprehensive here, it's probably due to the codes that are coming in. If you have any questions about that, I'm happy to get on a call and walk through anybody about this to walk through. All right, any questions about that? This is last year, so you know single sign-on has been updated some this year, so you're going to see a different dashboard. I think it's really nice. They have more information in them. You can bookmark your favorites and then just show the dashboard to only see those icons you access more often. This is just a data flow. Some districts want to know, well, how is the data flowing from UID to IEM? So this is a picture of that. Employee data goes to the payroll. the UID batch files and staff UID, and then non-payroll staff are uploaded to staff UID. And then it all feeds across the system to get download to the source systems, to the product systems. The source systems go to the product systems. So who needs access to what in staff UID? All roles but one provision in the NCEES with user access right. That means you can only see your own data, your own information, your own plans. You can't see anybody else's. The principal role, budget code 114, provisions in the NCEES with site administrator access rights. This does not assign the evaluator rights. Site administrator access rights means you can get to reporting and you can get to my staff. However, the system also does assign budget code 114 with evaluator rights to all staff. So if you were ever to assign an assistant principal, sorry, it's probably on the next slide. If you were ever to assign an assistant principal with site admin rights, you are not giving them evaluator rights. Those would have to be a manually assignment. You are giving them rights to see my staff and the ability to set access rights to others so they can set peers and mentors and things like that. And they can also print reports, but again, the reports will be limited to who they have access to. Any questions about that? District administrator, this is the current guide. I am updating a new guide because we've had a lot of changes with the DAs and superintendent roles. So hopefully that will be out soon. Page 3 and 5, I think, will show you how to set those DA rights to others. And remember, you now have to submit a form if they need to assign access rights. If they're a superintendent, you've given them DA, they need to assign access rights, you need to submit a form, and that is linked on the NCEES homepage. Or if they need to assume identity, some assistant superintendents help with that for troubleshooting NCEES. That also has to be submitted through that form. And again, that is linked on the homepage of NCEES. All right, so here's what I just talked about, the APs. Can they be site admins? Yes, they can. Remember, you are not giving them evaluator rights with that. You're just letting them assist with reporting or assigning access rights. Here are your help guides for assigning access rights. So here's where you choose your plan type, and that's under My Staff, Administration Staff Management. Reminder that you must set your plan types first. Allow them to process overnight before you can assign anybody staff access rights. Because if those plan types are not set, you will not have plan types to choose from on this page. The mentor is available under PDP plans. And peer observer is available under the evaluation plans. You cannot set access rights to principal plans on this page. That is this guide over here. And those you should be able to do now. When we set the plan types for principals in NCEES, those automatically show up. And now the district administrator can go to staff evaluations, pull up their principal plans, and assign access rights there under the access rights tab. Can you assign rights before the plans are active or started? Yes, you can. As long as they populated overnight, you set them on the My Staff page, yes. So here's a look at the administration staff management page. If you have a superintendent that needs to add people or assign access rights and they don't see this add administrator button, you need to fill out that form for me to set their rights to assign access rights. And here's what a screenshot looks like for the admin rights window. The person you're setting the rights to is at the top of the page. When you set the rights, it's going to show up in this little container at the top. And then when you're adding rights, you're going to make sure you're in the right site on number 1 with the right plan. And on number 2, If you need to assign a superintendent to last year plans, check the box for include archive plans, and then check which last year plans or previous year plans they need to have access to. Number 3, this is where it has a little tip. If this person needs access to everybody, then leave number 3 blank that's on this plan type. And then set the rights that they need. So like superintendents, when you're doing them, and you need a view only here, then you leave number 3 blank, and it will pop up a question that they're going to be assigned to everybody, and you just say yes. You could select this box here, and it will assign everybody listed here. But anybody you hire later this year and put on an abbreviated plan, you will have to manually assign them later. If you leave it blank, that is a dynamic setting. And then as you hire new staff and put them on new plans, this person can then automatically be added to be the view only on the abbreviated plan. Yes, Eleanor, I've asked several times, is there any chance the layout of this window will be addressed? It is horrible. I hate this window. So I have asked, and I hope you were asking as well. This is one thing I want updated, but they seem to be concentrating on professional development side of the system right now. But yes, this is one that definitely needs to be updated. Even in the new forms, this has not been updated, and I have reiterated that this needs to be fixed. Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh. So I had a tip from Eleanor that up here, if you need to see the archive plans listed, you can check this box up here to show up here at the top if they have past access rights. Right. Thank you, Eleanor. So beginning of year orientation, this information is on our NCEES resources site. We have all these links there as well. So staff should have a face-to-face orientation meeting to openly discuss questions and gain clarification regarding NCEES. We recommend everybody view the North Carolina orientation recorded webinar. Prior to having orientation, the principal should send a reminder email regarding orientation and provide a link to NCEES Google site. This is last year's link, so remember to give them the new link because this is going away. And then this rubric is awesome for everybody to watch, understanding the teacher rubric, especially knowing the difference between an observation and the end of year evaluation. Very well explained by Dr. Sachs. Any questions? Can add for archive plans in step 2. Yes, we talked about where you choose a plan and you want to include your archive plans, check that box, and they will populate down below here. And then you can add past year plans as well for somebody to access. Thank you. All right, we had a couple of questions when I did this webinar. Can you share examples of ways to support growth for teachers? And this was answered, I believe, by Jennifer or Robert in the notes and comments section with artifact examples. And then the answer was request for change of the teacher to provide the artifact. So teachers are supposed to be producing artifacts, especially if you're in these conferences, and you can always change the ratings if the teacher provides those artifacts that support that. And also you can wait and document the change at the next observation. Can a principal be both the district admin and the site admin? Yes, if a district administrator is assigned, and they were asking, can they have evaluator rights? If the district administrator is assigned as a lead principal, we used to have to manually reassign those, but this has been fixed. So if a principal is given district administrator, they will keep their evaluator rights now. All right, any questions about starting the year? And we will hold a webinar this summer to thoroughly go through that. Do you guys have any questions at all about that? Okay, I do want to let folks know I am available for face-to-face or virtual conferences or events that you're holding. I have scheduled, sorry, I think I've been sick all weekend, so I'm getting a little woozy. We're going to wrap this up. Back to school conferences, I am available for this. I have several events scheduled for August, but if you have any coming up, August, September, anytime like that, just let me know. Down here at the bottom is a link to the sessions that I'm offering, although if you want something different that we can handle with NCEES or Jennifer Bass from Standards and Evaluations, she's going to attend virtually on some of these, but I can be face-to-face or virtual. So do let me know. I'm happy to go out and present at your events. So I'm going to pause this one more minute for any questions or comments. I'm going to put this link for our feedback. When can we expect to know the location for the September 26th meetup? As soon as we know, we're going to get that out there. We're going to try to reach out to some more folks in those areas. If you guys know anybody on the East Coast that would be happy to host us, we do have a form that they can fill out, and that was linked in the opening slides. Right, I'm going to put the feedback link in there. Thank you, Laura. How many people do you need to accommodate for the face-to-face meetups? That is in our forms. Of course, my brain's not working right now. I think we asked for at least, is it 40, Yolanda, or more? Opening session. And then we asked for additional 3 rooms. So opening session plus 3 rooms. So for NCEES to break out and Canvas to break out and SchoolNet to break out.
Yes, I don't know if we actually set a count.
Yeah, it might be in that form, and Natalie, I can get that to you. All right, does anybody else need the feedback link? I do have some additional slides, so do join us tomorrow for SchoolNet, and then Wednesday for PowerSchoolLearning.com, and Thursday for Canvas and Go Open. Link to our past year webinars on the NCEES playlist on YouTube. There's our hashtags, and I hope to be getting started back with our Did You Knows on our Facebook page soon. And then your NCEES contacts. So our home-based advisory reps are here, so they're very good about keeping everybody informed and helping us on our advisory board meetings. And you can't get into the survey. So Corey, do you want to check that for me? Is Corey on here? It says it's expired. We will work on that, and we will make sure to email everybody out when it's ready to go. Because I hate to hold you up right now. All right, so if we have no further questions, we're going to wrap up today's meeting and stop the recording. I will stay on for just a few minutes